What's up, guys? This is the Osmo.com night shift talking baseball for Thursday, May 10th. We've got a 9-game slate. No early slate on this Thursday, which is a little bit weird. This is Jake Hari, Osmo.com writer. You can catch me on the MLB strategy video and the live stream on Tuesday and Thursday with Chris Spags, MLB strategy video with Josh Engelman. We've got 9 games to talk about. I've always talking about it, but I really do mean it. We've got a really good premium product over at Osmo.com. You get access to one of the best player in the industry's rankings, as well as our ownership projections. We've got a lot of free stuff too, but only premium subscribers get access to the rankings and the ownership projections, but it is well worth it. It helps me a lot in my research. So let's get into this. Those come out periodically. They're updated throughout the day, and they're just really helpful. It's really nice to see where Osmo is from slate to slate. See maybe some guys that you missed out on, or maybe he's got someone that is supposed to be high owned, but he thinks going to be a little bit lower owned. So it just very helpful, very good product we've got for you guys. Let's get into this 9-game slate. We'll start with Boston and the Yankees. This is at Yankee Stadium, of course. Eduardo Rodriguez versus CC Sabathia. This is a really dangerous spot for Erod against all these power righties for the Yankees. He's top 20 in whiffs per swing this year. He's over 13% swinging strike rate this season. However, he's got 2 starts in a row with at least 5 earned runs. So that's a little bit concerning for me, at least. This is a really risky spot to play him. It's a good price. It's a price where you can take some risks, especially if you're multi-entering. For me, with one lineup, I don't think I'm going to take that risk with Erod. I'd rather go with some Yankees bats. The big 3, it's Sanchez and Stanton and Judge. I don't really have a clear preference of any of them. Sanchez is 4,500 though. He is the cheapest, and he does take care of that catcher spot, which is pretty nice. Although catcher is pretty deep, I think. CC Sabathia on the other side. The Red Sox have been really bad against lefties, but I can't consider playing CC here. There's no reason the Red Sox should be bad against lefties, despite what the numbers say as a team so far. They've got JD Martinez, Hanley Ramirez, Bogarts can hit lefties, Mookie Betts can of course hit lefties. So I'm just chalking that up to some early season struggles, their numbers against lefties. I don't really want to attack them, especially on a big slate like this. I don't think there's a need for CC Sabathia. Again, I think that Boston should turn it around. So the guys I mentioned, Betts, Hanley, JD Martinez, and Xander Bogaerts are guys I'm all looking at. It's tough for me to stack against the Yankees because they've got that bullpen that can come in and mow guys down. NCC is good at limiting hard contact, so I'd more want to go with one-offs than a full stack. KC and Baltimore, Ian Kennedy versus our buddy Chris Tillman. So let's start with Kennedy first. He's pretty much always a guy I'm looking to stack against, especially in the form that he's in right now. But there just aren't that many great lefty bats that Baltimore has. Really not any great ones from the left side at all. Chris Davis is not a guy I'm looking to play. Pedro Alvarez in the 7 hole. Same story there. So I think I do like a couple righties. Machado, Jonathan Scope for 3,500 is way too cheap. He can hit righties very well. And then Adam Jones for 3,500. He's hitting righties hard, so I like to see that. I mean, of course Machado is going to be in play here. Tillman on the other side, he's got a 54.8 hard hit percentage and a 10.3% K percentage against lefties this year. He's absolutely horrendous. KC is going to be putting the ball in play. We've seen what they can do just a couple nights ago against Dylan Bundy. So I'm going right back to Moustakas. I love Duda. And then I love Salvador Perez as well. I'm stacking these guys against Chris Tillman. I think that he's one of the worst pitchers in baseball. KC has to be one of the best stacks outside of Coors, and maybe even over Coors. Like, if they're going to be significantly lower owned, Tillman is the worst pitcher on the slate, I think, by a pretty wide margin. So give me some Royals bats, Merrifield, even Soler against a righty, John Jay even leading off. He's 2,800. Yeah, like, all the Royals absolutely hate Tillman. He's one of my favorite guys to stack against. Seattle and Toronto. We've got Mike Leake versus J.A. Happ. Leake is a reverse splits guy. He's getting hammered by both sides, though, righties especially. His slider's decent, so he should be a little bit better against righty bats, but he's still inside the top 20 against, or in average exit velocity against righties. Now he's going to get a bunch of powerful Blue Jays righties. Josh Donaldson back in the lineup. Teoscar Hernandez can hit righties very hard. Teoscar Hernandez has a 49% hard contact rate against righties this year, striking out less against them than he is against lefties. I like Russell Martin a lot. I'd even play Pilar. Leak, people don't really stack against him that much, and I don't know why, but I certainly want to. I love these Blue Jays bats. They're a top 3 or 4 stack for me on this slate, I think. J.A. Happ, I love what he's done so far. He's 11,000, which is tough, especially against the Mariners. I just can't do it. The Mariners are so tough. Outside of, I think they had a dud performance a few games ago against a bad lefty, but they just don't strike out against really either side. And then you've got to deal with guys like Nelson Cruz and Mitch Haniger, 2 bats that I'm very scared of if I'm playing Happ. And he's 11K. It's not like he's 9K where, okay, you don't need him to strike out a ton of guys. You need him to be striking out guys when he's $11,000 on DraftKings. So I'm off Happ. I do like Haniger and Cruz at 4 and 5. Those would be the guys I'd go after him with. Atlanta and Miami. We've got Mike Foltynewicz versus Caleb Smith. I do have some interest in Foltynewicz. He's 9,500 though, so that price may be enough to get me off of him just in the grand scheme of the slate. I think I'd rather go with his counterpart, Caleb Smith, for 7,300. At least I'd rather take a shot on him. Smith has, like, all right, so I'm a fan of him in general, but this is going to be a big test for him. The Braves have Suzuki, they have Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman's tough against lefties. So it's a brutal matchup. There's no doubt about it. The Braves are one of the better offenses in baseball right now, especially against left-handers. They strike out the least against lefties on the season. So Smith is not a 100% all-in play for me or anything like that, but his fastball, changeup, and slider are all top 25 in the MLB in whiffs per swing. So I was impressed to see that. He's got a good pitch arsenal, there's no doubt about it. But again, this is a bad matchup. He's 7,300, so you can definitely take some shots at him. I don't know if I'll be able to fit him in with one lineup. Obviously a long way away from lock, so he may get there. May talk myself into some Caleb Smith, especially if we see a watered-down Braves lineup for any reason. I don't really want to go after him with bats, but if I had to, it'd be Kurt Suzuki if he's in the lineup. If not Kurt Suzuki, then Acuna versus a lefty for 4,700. I don't think Smith is going to be popular really at all. I don't know why he would be popular. But I may play him, and that might be a bit contrarian, which I like getting a guy that I think has some upside when he's low owned, because who doesn't that plays tournaments? Let's go to Milwaukee and Colorado. Coors Field. We've got Yuli Chassin versus German Marquez. I'm not really on either of the pitchers here. I don't know why you would be on a big slate for Coors. So Chacin has a slider, four-seam, and sinker mostly that he throws. The slider could be okay in Coors. He does get a lot of ground balls when he's on, but that sinker isn't going to sink like it should in normal air density. And that should be bad news for Chacin. He can't strike out lefties to save his life. He's got a 3.6% K percentage against lefties this year. So Charlie Blackmon and Carlos Gonzalez, Parra for 3,600, all guys that I love. And then it's hard not to mention Nolan Arenado in a Coors game. If David Dahl's in the lineup, that'd be another nice lefty you get in there. And then I think even Story, who's striking out less against right-handed pitching this year than lefty pitching in a reasonable sample. We're about over a month of the way through the season. So not the biggest sample, but enough to get an idea of how guys are doing so far. Marquez on the hill for the Rockies has had 2 rough starts in Coors, and then he was pitching well in one of them. I think he went 3 innings, 4 strikeouts, and that was cut short. I didn't see why it was. He throws a lot of curveballs, and that's just not the recipe for success in Coors against a team with a lot of power and 2 really good lefties that I like, Yelich and Travis Shaw. Those are 2 of my favorites on the entire slate. Yelich has a 17% K percentage this year against righties and a 52.1% hard contact, which I love to see. Yelich could be my home run call of the night. Maybe that's cheating in Coors Field. But I do like Yelich a ton here. He's going to be a guy that's going to be tough for me to keep off my lineup. Same with Travis Shaw. Phenomenal play against a righty in Coors. I'm not as crazy about the righties for the Brewers, but if you're stacking them up, and I think they're going to be lower owned than the Rockies because people want to stack against Chacin, and the Rockies are favored. They've got a 6.4 run total right now. But I do like these Brewers. Domingo Santana and Manny Pena are both reasonably priced on DraftKings. Even Braun and Kane, too. I'm comfortable playing all of them. So I do like the Brewers stack, especially if it's going to be half the ownership of the Rockies. Let's go to Washington and Arizona, and I'm not going to talk about this game too much because there's uncertainty on who's pitching. Right now I have Roark, and then it's undecided for Arizona. So actually I'm not really going to talk about this game much at all, besides mentioning that if it's Roark, I don't really have interest in him. I would want to play Descalso and Alex Avila for 3,200 and 2,500. But we're just going to skip over this game because it's uncertain. It looks like it's going to be really hot in Arizona. So they'll probably, I don't know what they'll do there, but as far as the roof goes. But let's move it on to Minnesota and LA. A little bit more certainty in this game. We'll have Jose Berrios versus Garrett Richards. First thing that sticks out to me is Berrios' price, $7,800 on DraftKings. And then Garrett Richards, $1,100 more than him on DraftKings at $8,900. Berrios should get a lot of righties here, but I don't think I can play him against the Angels. Like, he's probably a little bit overrated based on what he was doing in his first few starts of the year. I think he had a complete game or something against the White Sox earlier in the year. People were super high on him. He was like 70%. I don't think I could do it against the Angels. The Angels are just tough. I know he's going to get a lot of righties, but LA on the year has the second best WRC plus and 4th best ISO against righties this year. Just a very dangerous lineup for Berrios. I think he's going to get a bunch of ownership here because of his low price and because of the brand name. But I think I'll be off of him unless something changes drastically from now until lock. The LA bats I want to target against Berrios are the lefties, so Ohtani and Luis Valbuena if he's in the lineup. $5,800 Mike Trout isn't the best against Berrios, who's really good against righties, but he's Mike Trout. So I mean, I'm never going to say he's a bad play. He's not a good price, I'll say that, but maybe that'll get him some lower ownership. that's about the best I can say for Trout. Garrett Richards going for the Angels. He had a really impressive start last time out against the Mariners. 6 2/3, 8 Ks. And then more importantly to me, a 36% O swing percentage and 16.3% swinging strike rate. And that's about as good as it gets against the Mariners. For either hand, they're really tough to strike out, as I was saying when talking about Happ. The Twins are another really tough matchup, though. They're not a pushover. None of the guys in their lineup that I'm looking at right now, outside of Garver, are striking out over 20% against righties this year. If Garrett Richards is going to be chalk, we know that has bit us before. And if he's going to be chalk at 8,900, I'm not a huge fan of that. I do think he can have a good outing here, but I think some of these Twins could for sure get to him. Kepler, Rosario, even Grossman for 2,900 I like. It's a little bit of a different story if Richards is going to be under 20%. Then I have some more interest in him in tournaments, but I just not in love with that price at 8,900 despite the 3.6 run total for the Twins. So we'll talk about Richards a bunch, I'm sure, tomorrow on the strategy video on the live stream. So maybe Josh and Chris will be able to sway me a little bit. Cincinnati and LA, we've got Tyler Mahle, or is it Molly? I'm not sure, but I was really impressed by over his last 3 starts. The results don't look fantastic outside of one really good game against the Braves. He had 11 strikeouts in 6 innings. He went 6 innings in both the starts after that against the Twins and the Marlins, which aren't very easy matchups against righties. I like the swinging strike rate for Molly. I like the whiff rate for Molly. I'm just going to call him Molly because I don't know how to pronounce his name. I think he's a pretty good pitcher. There's no run total out for the Dodgers. Actually, no, wait, there is. 4.5 I'm seeing. So he's a big underdog against Walker Buehler, but I do think he can rack up some strikeouts here. He is getting hit hard by lefties, so it's not the greatest matchup in the world going up against Grandal, Bellinger, and Jock Peterson, but if he can somehow survive them, I think he's an interesting low-owned GPP play at 7,600. Buehler on the other side, he's had great results. I'm not crazy about what I'm seeing with some of the plate discipline stuff. He's not really getting guys to chase out of the zone. He's not really getting a lot of whiffs, which I'm a little concerned about. If he's going to be chalk here, and I mean, he is a big name despite being in the MLB for just a few weeks. If he's going to be chalk at 10-5 with Dave Roberts as his coach, or as his manager, I should say, then I'm probably going to be off of him just out of principle. I think he's going to be a really good pitcher. He probably already is a really good pitcher. But 10-5, I don't know how long his leash is going to be. And I do have some respect for these Reds bats. Votto, Scooter Gennett, and Scott Schebler if he's in the lineup. And then if Buehler's going to be chalk, which based on that run total, 3.1 for the Reds, a like 2% owned player that I like is Eugenio Suarez. We know him as the lefty masher, and he does mash lefties for sure. There's no doubt about that. But this year against righties, he's got a 46.8% hard hit rate, and he's only striking out just over 11% of the time, 283 ISO versus right-handed pitching this year, which I was very surprised to see. So I do like Suarez because Buehler is doing a really good job limiting hard contact to lefties in his short sample. St. Louis and San Diego, last game of the night. McCollus is, I think he's my number 1 guy on the night. And it is the matchup, but I like what I'm seeing out of his quality of contact. He's got an 87 mile per hour average exit velocity against lefties this year. The swinging strike rates aren't great. The whiffs aren't great. They're good for sure, but I prefer him over Buehler in this matchup. The Padres, one of the worst teams in the MLB against right-handed pitching. The O swing percentage for McCollus is really nice, 37.6%. So I think the whiffs are coming. He's getting people to chase. The Padres have the highest K percentage against righties. And McCullers had a nice start last time out. I think he went 7 innings, 4 Ks, no earned. I think he could go another 7 innings, but I think the strikeouts are going to be there for him. Just not really all that impressed with this Padres lineup. I won't have Padres bats. McCullers is probably going to be my #1 play of the night, barring something drastic changing again. Padres, I don't know who's going to start for them, but right now I'm seeing Jordan Lyles, who is a reliever, and he's probably not going to go more than 3 innings here at most. He's gone 3 innings 1 time in his relief appearances this year. The St. Louis bats, they're fine. I just don't know who they're going to be facing for the majority of the game. I do like Pham, Ozuna, and Jose Martinez, who are all hitting the ball extremely hard right now. I don't think I'm stacking the Cardinals. I do prefer the Royals over them. I do prefer the Blue Jays and then Coors Field, of course. So I don't think I'm going to get to a Cardinals stack. But I do like those 3 guys I mentioned, Martinez, Ozuna, and Tommy Pham. So the 3 outfielders, well, I guess there's 4 outfielders, Dexter Fowler. I do like those 3 that I mentioned first. So that's going to do it. 9-game slate. Hope you guys enjoyed listening to this. Get your Osmo.com premium membership. Check us out on the MLB strategy video. Check us out on the live stream at 6 Eastern before lock. Let's make some money.